Hello and welcome back to Rogue Trader. Last time we returned to Rykad Minoris. Well, I guess we were already there. We left the electrodynamic cenobium, talked to Governor Medina, who said, hey, that's great, we're going to celebrate with you riding a tank down the main street to the starport. Everybody's going to celebrate. And it turned out people weren't celebrating and people attacked. And we've been fighting cultists all the way back to the starport. Also, the sun disappeared. That's fun. Off to a good start. Yeah, I guess we'll have Cassia run over there. And we don't have all the veil degradation right now. So we might as well use it to our advantage. Now I don't have the range to zap someone. And we don't have line of sight on either of them. Okay. A little bit of a bummer. Ah, landmine. Nice to see there isn't a shortage of those. Not much I really want to do with many of these guys at the moment. Even though I don't have the range, I'll get him right next to the guy. Try to rack up all the XP possible. Yeah, I gotta love when that happens. Hey, plasma gun. That should probably go to Pascal. But I think the damage hit's gonna be substantial. Because it won't be as good as we need until we're at least a few levels higher. Nope. Or just run into mines. Sure, why not? I do wish, like, if you detect it, your team would just go, oh, okay, we won't step there. Instead of just being like, yeah, I'll step on that. It'll be fun. Who doesn't want to jump onto an active landmine? Hitting landmines is the coolest. The stench of Physaline and blood blankets the starport. Echoes of shouts and gunfire drift over the landing pads. The shards of plexiglass crunch underfoot. You recognize Sergeant Malgar amid the crowd huddled next to the shuttles. He was the soldier who greeted you upon your arrival at Rykad Minoris. The sergeant's chest is fitted with a sturdy-looking flak vest bearing insignia customary among your troops. One of your enforcers you sent must have given it to Malgar as a gift. A group of bloody and frightened people is wedged between Malgar's wardens and the shuttles. You recognize him as the governor of the planet, the members of his high-ranking entourage. Their expensive attire has been torn in the fight, and many bear wounds left by bayonets. Sergeant Malgar, I demand an immediate report. What's going on here? The sergeant spins around to face you, his face a twisted grimace of anger. Our esteemed governor and his gang of cronies have been cowering behind us, and now, when things get rough, they thought they could scarper and leave us here to die. We've shed our blood for them and broken our backs to provide for them. And after all this, you think that it's fair, you piece of grok shit? Malgar's stun baton hits the governor in the chest, causing the adornments on the governor's uniform to jingle in unison. The governor spits out blood and opens his mouth to respond when his head explodes. His body falls limp to the side, his remaining eye staring upward. The chorus of the noble screams cannot drown out the sergeant's pitiful whisper. Enough, you've said your piece. For generations upon generations, the nobles of this world cared for Rykad Minoris and ensured the prosperity of its inhabitants. And this is your gratitude, peasant? For killing a nobleman, you deserve to be executed where you stand. Cassia throws out her hand, and Malgar's knees buckle. My mentor was right. The rabble truly have no honor. Abelard looks at the governor's body, his brow furrowed. Madness, punishable by death. We don't have time for this. We need to get to the shuttle now. Another in your position could have forgotten that the Emperor protects all of his subjects, but surely not you. It is your duty to help anyone you can. The sergeant frowns at you. I don't know why you stick up for these parasites. They never would have helped someone like me, but they don't deserve to die either. You're right about that. Not all of them, at least. A dull thud comes from deep within the starport. Heavy footsteps shake the rock crete, raising an unpleasant tremor in your bones.
You thought you had killed Aurora, false believers. Tremble, for I am Aurora. I am the herald of change. Behold the final dawn, and die!
God, that die did not sound menacing enough. That is me when I'm jokingly going, for the psychic psychic scream. It just lacks the bass needed to be a menacing sound. Cassia, actually, we're just gonna slap you right down there. Heinrichs, we're gonna have you run in and smack them around. And I'm just gonna stand on the corner and hopefully not die.
Save my work, ye glorious masters, and honor its endeavor.
In that case, we're just gonna have Heinrichs close the gap then and try to be useful. In that case, I'm switching to melee, because someone's gonna melee me. Might as well try to parry it. Or not, why not? Who needs to parry, am I right? And we'll hit you with Enfeeble. Didn't work. Dad, I thought that would happen. Boost Abelard, he's gonna need it. Get as many... what is it? Exploits? Yep. Get as many exploits on him, and then we're gonna take that sniper out. That was a hit, not a kill, but more than what we had, so I'll take it. Look at this idiot ping-ponging. He doesn't know where he needs to go. Oh, did we get him? No, we didn't. Thought we had him locked up. Yeah, see, when it's a 95% chance to hit, or 220s, it's kind of a hard sell. Risk the hit. Yeah, I thought I would take it. But mostly it was temp health, so we're standing good still. Yeah, this is how you do this fight very well. I just floundered with this my first time through. But I also had no idea how to build my characters or anything like that, so... Amazing what a little bit of hindsight can do for you. Don't ask how he shot to the right and managed to hit the one in front. It's them warp magics. Let you do all sorts of unnatural things. With friends like those, who needs enemies? Nothing like some good old friendly fire there. Time to hit this dude with the Soul Suck 3000. I forget I have that power. Also very fitting that a word bearer would be the one creating a cult. And what do we specifically get off him? A heavy bolter that requires a heretical follower. A item that requires a heretical conviction rating, so stuff I can't and won't use. Let's get everybody leveled. Which is just the easiest leveling ever. The funny part is if you when he leaves at Footfall, he becomes an assassin, but I could force him to be something else. It is kind of tempting to force him into Vanguard. Because there can be things to be said about Assassin. I still think Assassin sucks. It's a far squishier melee build when tanking possibilities are available. Arch Militant... versatility is good. The problem is, eventually he gets this ability that I can't look at the moment. Oh. Steady Superiority, you get an additional attack per turn. And I think that could be real good. And you could maybe do some wild stuff with that. But I don't know. I mean, realistically, I'm not going to use him much. So I could throw him into Arch Militant just for the hell of it. Because it would give me more of a melee, like, attacker. You know what, yeah, let's try it out. We're gonna force him down a path the game doesn't want him to go. We'll loot our sniper man over here. And yeah, our ship is all burnt out over there. So we have to just yoink one of these. We'll take this one. Thanks be to the Emperor, you are alive. You are alive, your lordship. We are most gratified by your return, and the crew is full of zeal to carry out any orders you have. Before anything else, I will hear an account of what happened to the system's sun. The Voxmaster falters. Lord Captain, we saw a number of ships approach the sun, black creations of inhuman make, amalgams of sharp angles and edges. They surrounded the star, and then... My apologies, but I struggle to find the words that could describe that terrible sight. The Xenos made the sun vanish into the void. The interrogator closes his eyes and grimaces. Drukari. You see Abelard's expression change as if a shadow has suddenly fallen over him. He rubs his temple warily, as if we did not have enough troubles on our hands already. Xenos? Enemies of humanity? A breed of the Eldari, the most cruel and devious of their kind. Their design of ships matches the description provided by the Vox Master. Like all Xenos, the Drukhari are a blight on the face of the galaxy, but their technological superiority is indisputable. They abhor and fear warp sorcery, which is why they rely on creations of their twisted intellect, and many of these creations are capable of things that may seem akin to sorcery to the unenlightened eye. The theft of a sun is one example of what they are capable of. Are the Xenos in league with Aurora's cultists? We can rule out that possibility. The Drukhari would never ally themselves with the archenemy's worshippers. If I had to name one thing that humanity and these Xenos have in common, it would be a shared loathing for warp corruption. Heinrichs glances around. The situation calls for immediate action. We can continue this conversation later if you so wish, but right now, he gestures at the deck teeming with tumultuous activity. I believe you should assume command. What is the current situation on board? The navigator's sanctum is no longer empty, but the warp engine is still refusing to obey the engine seers. Without it, we cannot perform a warp jump. Pascal's voice buzzes anxiously in his Vox. It may be angry, but perhaps it is lamenting the injuries it has suffered. I will immediately initiate preparations for a prayer service. If the Omnissiah grants me comprehension, I shall appease the machine spirit of this vessel. What is happening on the planet now? Our augur operators are reporting numerous uprisings and other manifestations of the archenemy's powers at various locations on the planet. Based on the fragments of communications picked up by our Vox operators, there is practically no resistance being offered by the governor's forces. Millions of people are converting to the blasphemous Final Dawn cult en masse and assembling in prayer circles. Do we have any hope of retaking the planet? I fear that Rykad Minoris is lost. The situation is deteriorating by the minute. We must leave the system as soon as possible. However, there are still people on the planet who have not succumbed to heresy and who are worthy of rescue. Besides the small number of our own shuttles, we also have the shuttles salvaged from the starport. The dark eyes of the Sister of Battle flash. We must save as many as we can. This has all happened for a reason. Saint Argenta, whose name I carry with reverence and trepidation, is famed for saving the people of a dying world through the power of prayer. The God Emperor himself sent a star from the heavens that lifted the saint and her followers up to the sky, away from corruption and death. We must do as she did, direct all our efforts to saving those people who at this moment look to the heavens in hope of salvation. The lives of peasants are of little value. Our prime objective is to save the Holy Relic, the miraculous fusion reactor, and the electro-priests who guard and tend to it. Abelard furrows his brows. Every moment we spend in proximity to a dying world, we are putting ourselves at risk. Your life, Lord Captain, is far more valuable than all of Rykad Minoris. The Von Delancius dynasty cannot be allowed to perish, and so lamentable as though it is, we must rule out the idea of any evacuation. Heinrich's eyes, like two deep dark pools, are resolutely fixed on you. The world is doomed, its inhabitants along with it. The disappearance of the star was the final nudge towards death. The finale of the cult of the Final Dawn's plans. I once witnessed a similar event, a world that had surrendered to the servants of the archenemy and permitted corruption to enter too deep. At this moment, millions of people are bowing down before those who promised them salvation, and they are willingly giving over their souls to chaos, a sacrifice great enough to bring forth a demon world. Our only hope of stopping this process is to retreat to a safe distance from the planet and conduct targeted bombing of the Electro-Priest Monastery. If we blow up the reactor, a thermonuclear reaction will follow, the world's oxygen will evaporate, killing off the entire biosphere. In doing this, we will save millions of souls from a fate far worse than death, and we will save Rykad Minoris from becoming an outpost of the archenemy. Whatever fate you choose for this world, I urge you to make haste, Lord Captain. The planet is burning in raging flashes of crimson and purple. I can see it even from orbit. As I do see that the storm is already upon us, with every moment that we waste, it grows even more difficult and perilous to steer the ship through the warp's turbulent currents. I'm with the lady on this. Enough talking, we need to get out of here while we still can. Something lurking in the depths of your consciousness bristles at the passing thought of saving people. The spike of horror you feel takes your breath away. It is as if you were planning to steal the prey of a mighty predator. The planet is already wrapped in a thread stretching out from the warp. It deserves to have a new master. Which of the planet's inhabitants can we evacuate? The nobles you rescued at the starport have been I've given the coordinates of shelters where we can find surviving aristocrats and their families. As for Sergeant Malgar's troops, they will continue to control the crowds of frightened commoners and prevent the shuttles from being overloaded. Thanks to you, we have salvaged many shuttles from the starport we can now use. The miraculous fusion reactor must be saved. Any delay caused by loading and transporting to the ship will cost us precious time. Do not deceive yourself. If you indulge your vanity, you will doom billions to eternal torment at the hands of the archenemy. Do not forget yourself, Interrogator. One more objection from you and I shall forget all about the need to deliver you to Footfall alive. You detect a flicker of something beneath Heinrich's sanguine mask. Whatever it may be, it does not seep into the Interrogator's dispassionate voice. In that case, I consider it necessary to point out that the mark of the archenemy could infiltrate the ship with the priests escorting the reactor. Keep that in mind for the future. Consider it done. It is likely our shuttles will have capacity to evacuate some people as well. And have the cults extract all the commoners who have not yet converted to the cult of the Final Dawn. Consider it done. This will bring us to the limit of our capabilities. We have no more shuttles to use in the evacuation effort. The bridge is in upheaval. Technomats' prayers mix together in a senseless cacophony, while servitors work hastily to remove a hardened crust of sacred unguents from the warp engine's components. In the middle of all this tumult stands Pascal with a data slate clutched in his hands, seemingly disconnected from the flurry of activity around him. Magos, why don't you actually do what is going on here? The warp sextant is not responding to commands. The ship's spirit is rejecting our prayers in anger. I'm currently calculating a plea that will appease the noble spirit. Magos, why don't you assume control of the Technomats? Surely their contribution will speed things up. They would only be a hindrance. I'm searching for a way to rectify the error. Pascal is muttering without taking his eyes off the data slate. There is a certain anxiousness in the way he moves his mechadendrites. Crew, heed the word of Magos and Newman. Pascal, I kindly request that you take charge of this mess. Thank you, your lordship, you were right. Pascal's voice changes when he addresses the crew. He now speaks with authority and resolve. Tech comrades, heed my instruction. The mayhem immediately subsides, and the crew's actions fall into some indiscernible logic. The Omnissiah's servants start working in sync, and the binaric clamor becomes a cacophony of reports, which the Magos coordinates like a skillful conductor. Admirably done, Pascal. The Omnissiah guides me. The prayers of the tech priests surrounding the cogitator almost drowned out the sounds of the bustling bridge behind you. Pascal, poring intently over the data slate in his hands, extends a mechadendrite towards you. Please take your place at the cogitator, Lord Captain. Step up to the cogitator. The huge machine in front of you is lit with dozens of vid screens and hundreds of lumens. The blinking lights and endless rush of symbols and digits on the screen background make your eyes water, and a vague sense of alarm simmers in the depths of your mind. The typical reaction of a layperson when confronted with the magnitude of the Omnissiah's creation. Among the numerous controls you see the mouth of a cyber gargoyle, the same as that at the gate of the warrant chamber. Pascal's voice becomes imbued with imperious force. Servants of the machine god, heed my command. Acolytes, prepare the incense instrumentation for the liturgy of machine spirit propitiation. Senior technomats, recite the prayer to generate a current data report. Operations will be marked with the campaignological protocol, Omnissiah Rejoice. I must inform you that for the purposes of safety, complete reassembly of the warp sextant and updating of its datasmith blessings are required. If this is not done, then at launch the volume of aggregate calculation errors could result in the destruction of the data crypts. But we do not have 100 hours at our disposal. We must omit this procedure. Pascal looks down at the data slate in his hands, a minor deviation from the rite of operation for the sake of appeasing the spirit. What must I do? Place your hand inside the throat of the Cogitator Guardian, the cyber gargoyle which has been assigned to guard the forbidden data crypts. The dynastic blood extracted from your veins will serve as a key to the data core where the machine spirit dwells. To it we will offer our prayers so that we may bypass the protective protocol for defective connections and launch the warp sextant. Pascal's voice grows quieter. The laws of the Omnissiah know no exceptions, and so in this ritual I will remain at your side to palliate the wrathful machine spirit in whose abode you will be intruding. Follow my liturgies, Lord Captain, and we may receive his blessing. Place your hand in the cyber gargoyle's mouth. The metal jaws clamp down on your hand, breaking your delicate corporeal sheath and releasing warm red liquid into its gullet. At the same moment, the image on the vid screen before you changes. Connecting 0000.1, connecting 0000.2, connecting 000.3, success, reg 789.034, other stuff, NOM OS Operate Resp Act. Gesture at the vid screen. What does this all mean? At the sound of your voice, the cogitator's servant, whose bronze-bound skeleton is built into the cogitator's housing, shudders. With a screech, its skull rotates towards you and then stops in that position. Benevolent code, a voice receptor. Pascal emits a sequence of binary signals and then is silent for several seconds. I hypothesize that the defect is located in the analyzer block. I register a reaction to the signal, but no prepared response. A temporary override is permissible. The Magos intently studies the vid screen. The shell was created on a forge world unknown to me, initiating standard invocation of the machine spirit. Pascal leans over the adjacent instrument panel and sets his hands on the controls. At the same time, a quiet stream of machine code begins pouring forth from his vox. Reach out and touch the keys on the instrument panel. Input, PATCOMP, NOM-OS, stab true, sector 567, 245 dam, sector 244 to 001 stab, so stable, NOM-OS Operat Resp Act. Lord Captain, Pascal stops and then continues more calmly. Please, you will anger the machine spirit before we have removed the restriction. By my authority, I invoke the inviolability protocol of the warp engine. One of the cogitator's vid screens turns red. Pascal sees this and raises his hand, signaling to the rest of the tech priest, then withdraws a connector from his sleeve and connects it to the machine. Servants of the Omnissiah, make now the offering of cleansed data crypts to the machine spirit, so that it may be filled with our true and calibrated data. May the Omnissiah have mercy on our souls. In meek solemnity, the acolytes offer up the cleansed data crypts to the warp engine one after another, repeating prayers of exaltation. After anointing the contacts with sacred unguents, Pascal inserts them into the cogitator slots. Your head begins to spin from the holy censer's foul-smelling clouds of smoke and from the loss of blood that the cyber gargoyle continues to drink from you, and the world swims before your eyes. Let the mechanism awaken in renewed purity. Pascal enters a sequence of commands and raises his head, watching the vid screens. Suddenly he stops dead. No. His fingers fly over the command runes, entering command after command. His mechadendrites, clicking their pincers, pull one lever after another. The vid screens fill with strings of symbols, completely incomprehensible to you, but clearly conveying something to the Magos. What is happening? After a few seconds, one of the data crypts mounted on the cogitator begins to emit sparks. A moment later, another data crypt does the same. The next bursts into flames and gives off foul-smelling smoke. Around you, the Omnissiah's servants break off from their prayers, and someone bursts into frantic pleading. Pascal mournfully grates out, "The massive errors in the warp sextant's calculations is destroying the data repositories. The offering did not appease the machine spirit. The warp engine cannot be filled with the motive force. We are trapped." A moment later, the Magos continues uncertainly, "Perhaps an alternative Ryzen protocol, or an emergency launch of the auxiliary coils." The tech priest bends over the cogitator, but something in his pose and movements reveals his desperation. While the other vid screens are filled with more and more strings of symbols, the monitor in front of you blinks and its static image changes. Pascal is too engrossed in his ritual to notice. Read the information on the vid screen. Input PATCOMP, NOM-OS stab true, NOM-OS stab false, stat check, initiate, perturb, reg, disturb, reg, NOM-OS Operate Resp query. Magos Newman, a moment, if you will. Pascal turns towards you, his flickering visor betraying his anxious state. "Lord Captain, He stops short when he sees the vid screen. Distorted transmissions from the data core, most likely the residual cognitive functions of the built-in servitors. Omniscience shield us from the machine ghosts. He returns to manipulating the Cogitator's command runes. Machine spirit, can you hear me? The Cogitator's servant creaks quietly in its joints, a sound that is drowned out by the binary hymns and the tapping of command runes. Input prompt: NAM-OS ping, NAM-OS rec resp, NAM-OS operat resp injury, NAM-OS operat resp rescue, NAM-OS operat resp query. Rescue? Yes, Machine Spirit, rescue us. Pascal turns to you. Lord Captain, the excess emotion in your command will render it unintelligible too. Pascal's next vocalization goes unsynthesized as he sees the vid screens begin to stabilize one after another. The strings frenetically galloping across the green background are replaced with stable images or regularly updating status reports. Only one monitor remains inexplicably red. The tech priest Vox crackles in shock, but his report is as clipped and clinical as ever. Registering. Warp sextant activated. Registering. Data stream stabilizing. Registering. 0 data errors found. Reporting. The warp engine is ready for translation. After a pause, Pascal adds, I'm also reporting evidence indicating a Category 3 miracle fulfilling the criterion. Thou shalt witness the mechanism that toils in glorification of its function and in defiance of deactivation. Lord Captain, Ravor here. The crew are almost finished carrying out the orders given earlier, and I've just received confirmation from the engineering halls. I don't know what you did, but the warp engine's up and raring to go. We're ready to begin the translation to the warp, your lordship. What just happened? Pascal pauses. I hypothesize the ship spirit heard our prayers and intervened. It summoned the power of the Omniscience to do something beyond my comprehension. I know little of the Omniscience sacred machines, but what I saw on the screen looked strange. A non-standard output of information lost in the data core. The servitors used as data conduits are not always fully lobotomized. Fragments of their thoughts can appear even in pure code. Pascal falls silent, immersed in thoughts. It appears the Omniscience perceives and knows the power of your faith, Pascal. He would not have worked this miracle otherwise. I hope he will grant me a revelation that will allow me to comprehend the nature of his miracle. Pascal's vox buzzes in wonder with wonder and undercurrent of exultation. Contact Ravor. The Lord Captain speaking. I give the order to commence translation to the warp. Waiting for you to ascend to the Captain's throne, Lord Captain. May the Emperor protect us.
Von Valancia's flagship made its way out of the doomed star system. As the void ships plunged deeper into the Corona's expanse, the rogue trader's subjects bid a formal farewell to the late head of the dynasty, Aurora von Valancius. Having paid their last respects, the crew gathered their strength and braced themselves for whatever was to come next.
Lord Captain, allow me to report. Our journey through the warp is coming to an end. Lady Navigator Orcelio informs me that we have reached the point where we can translate to real space in the Furibunda system. The Lady Navigator and her pilots are awaiting your permission to begin the process. The Furibunda system is home to Footfall, the only Imperium outpost with a functioning wharf in the Coronis expanse. The tech priests are begging you to have mercy on the machines worn down by the warp, and to allow the servants of the Omnissiah to inspect and heal the void ship's wounds in the dock. The prayers and rituals will take some time, which our astropathic choir will use to establish a connection with the prime worlds of your protectorate, Dargonis, Yanis, and Kiava Gamma. Master Zachary Wise has recovered an invitation previously adrift in the Immaterium. The Liege of Footfall has humbly requested an audience with the rogue trader of the Von Valancius dynasty. According to Master Zachary, the message was tinted with shades of pleading. I quote, apparently the Liege is anxious to meet as soon as possible. Footfall, the place where filth and sanctity go hand in hand. Reverend Hieronymus Doloroso will most likely expect a visit from me. I imagine he'll be interested in talking to you as well. I'll be leaving your voyage ship when we arrive on Footfall. Once that is done, consider the Lord Inquisitor's task complete. Your Lordship, young Yvain Winterscale has asked me to convey his gratitude for your hospitality and for saving him from certain death. Now wishing to outstay his welcome, he plans to disembark at Footfall. Lord Yvain swears he will not forget his debt to you. I hereby inform the rogue trader that during a comprehensive system inspection rite, this unit discovered data clusters within the captain's cogitator that are concealed from prying eyes by means of a personal cipher and a sacrament of algorithmic authorization. Unit Ulysses von Valancius has been added to the access list and identified as the key and assigned the identifier Keeper 2. The unit will access the data from the captain's cogitator provided he possesses the decryption key. You detect a hint of something resembling curiosity in Pascal's mechanical voice. Are you leaving us, Heinrichs? The arrangement between the Lord Inquisitor and your predecessor was that I be transferred to Footfall and no further. I dare not take advantage of your generosity and patience any more than I already have. I hope we meet again. True servants of the Emperor are always welcome aboard my ship. Heinrichs regards you with a curious look and a polite smile. An interrogator of the Inquisition seldom gets to hear such words. Thank you for your hospitality. I will not forget it. Argenta, who is this Reverend Hieronymus who wants to talk to me? He is the head of the Drusian mission on Footfall and one of the most prominent clergymen in the sect. Paying him a visit is a good thing for any loyal servant of the Emperor to do. I assisted his mission before I joined Lady Theodora on her voyage. I need his blessing to accompany the new rogue trader of the Von Valancius dynasty. If you wish to keep me aboard your voyage ship, I request that you meet with Reverend Hieronymus. Vigdis, tell me about the system we are arriving in. Furibundus is valuable due to the close proximity to the Maw, the gateway to the Imperium. The system is mostly known for Footfall, the main base for merchants, privateers, and rogue traders traversing the Coronis expanse. Additionally, the star itself is orbited by an Adeptus Mechanicus station, which is off-limits to outsiders. Alter Templum Calixis Axt 17. I had the honor of tending to this shrine for a few thousand cycles. I suggest you abstain from visiting it, as most tech comrades at the station are engaged in meditative calculations and should not be interrupted. Abelard, do you know anything about the Liege of Footfall? Vladame Takara is a very peculiar young man. Consider your upcoming conversation a baptism of fire in Footfall's political arena. Such things are not spoken out loud, but Liege Takara is the appointee of the Casbalica mission, the largest robber baron crime syndicate in the Calixis sector. They specialize in the cold trade, the buying and selling of all kinds of Xenos rubbish. Footfall was previously run by a liege who did business with several criminal factions at once, but he suffered an accident. The reins of power were picked up by Vladame Takara, whose appointment benefits not only the Casbalica, but also their most powerful ally in the Coronis Expanse, rogue trader Caligos Winterscale. Vladame is a slippery yet very cautious fellow. He does not usually beat around the bush and does not play mind games. Perhaps more importantly, he is no fool. Fools do not rise this high in the Casbalican hierarchy. Keep all this in mind. You are a rogue trader. You stand above him in status and wield considerable power. Having said that, history has seen cases where the Caspalican barons cross swords with rogue traders and emerge victorious. Don't forget that and remain vigilant. The Caspalica, vile tech thieves. Pascal's Vox barks out the last word like a profanity. Tell the Lady Navigator I give her leave to make the translation from the warp to real space. Vigdis begins issuing instructions. The massive ship appears to change with her very word. The bridge is set in motion as hundreds of people begin to prepare for the shift to real space, and measured chanting fills the corridors to safeguard the crew and its vessel, or the vessel and its crew. Vigdis turns to you again. One more thing, Lord Captain. No one in the station knows about Lady Theodora's demise and you inheriting the title. Liege Takar will be informed. It is required so we can use the dock, and besides, he is expecting a personal audience with the rogue trader. He will not meet with an unknown person of unclear standing. However, there is still the matter of announcing your arrival. We can either arrive on the station with the proper pomp and ceremony, or choose to visit it incognito. I have decided, tell the liege I will arrive incognito. It will be done, Lord Captain. Vigdis bows again. With your gracious permission, I will return to my duties. And that is all for now. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to hit the like button, it helps out the channel a lot, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.